Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so I was going to do, it's Wednesday, April the 3rd, and my name is Anna Sabramowicz, and I design and help people design learning and scenarios. Now, one of the things that I usually do on Wednesdays, as is my new habit, is to do a whiteboard Wednesday for you. However, as you notice, my office has changed and it's still getting set up. So today I'm going to be doing it on my handy dandy piece here. So one of the things that we're working through in our current scenario design bootcamp that I'm running with my students is, in the very beginning, the first couple of weeks, really we focus on setting you up for success. Because a lot of times what happens is we start design projects and we're fumbling. We're like, whoa, I don't know where to start. I don't know what are some things that I need to have in place, so that by the time you get to talk to somebody who has the knowledge that you need, you actually are able to make that conversation super efficient and really focused, so that you're getting the maximum amount of information from them in the least amount of time, and the information that you're getting is organized in a way that makes it very easy for you to put together scenarios or any kind of learning, really. So, when I titled this, How to Prepare for Your Scenario Design Research, really I'm saying any kind of e-learning or online learning that you're going to be developing, this is probably going to be a process that's going to be helpful for you. And for those who are watching right now, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments. All right, so the first thing you need is, well, let's start with this process. This process entails you. And we're going to say that you are this happy, excited person. And the reason you're excited is because you have a system in place to capture this info, and you are very systematic in the way that you're delivering and designing your training, okay? So let's say that at the very beginning of your process, you've accomplished these two things, which I think are essential to you having a great project. And that's me trying to talk and draw at the same time. But hold on, let me just make sure that I write this properly. So the first thing you have to have ready is your model and your message. So very simply, what you need to have in place is made a decision, and it's not a decision as in it's final and you can't change it later on as you discover some new variables. But what it is going to do is give you a framework to start with. So you need to have a model and a message. The model is the structure that you're going to use for your scenario and your framework that you're going to use for your module. And your message is really you deciding what is it that my learner, my target audience, needs to get out of this experience. So that by the time you've done a little bit of your homework and now you're talking to an expert, or as I like to call them, case studies, what's happening is that you are no longer coming into those conversations with a blank slate, hoping the other person will give you the info you need because you told them it's scenarios and they might not understand even what you're talking about. So one of the things you're doing here is you're coming in ready, armed, and because you have your model as well, the questions that you're going to be asking of this person, of this research subject, is going to be much different than if you came in saying, hey, I have some ideas, do you want to put together some learning? And then everything's on the table and then things get out of hand. So the other thing you need, because you've got this model in your mind, it's the reason I put it as a little thought bubble here is because it's your hypothesis. You're making an educated guess based on all of your experience. You're not saying this is final, but you are definitely coming in saying, I have a framework and a model that I'd like to use here because I see, based on the research that I've done, there's a fit, right? So you're coming in with this in your mind. And then there are certain things that you've already done some research on that is very concrete, because there are definitely two concrete things that you need to have to move forward to begin talking to an expert, right? And those things are, so let me just put this here. Business alignment. Let's make sure. Okay, I'm writing this down properly. Okay, and then I'll just put this underneath here. Okay, so you will definitely, if you've done your research and you've asked the right questions, you will have, and that's why I put, this is supposed to be a one of those clipboards. Do people use clipboards anymore? I actually have a couple. Anyways, so on your clipboard, these are the things that are tangible and solid. These are the things that are in your mind and you've decided, but these are the things that are tangible and solid. One of them is business alignment. What is the purpose of the learning that you're deciding, like that you're designing with what's the intent of it, right? And also, who the heck are you building it for, right? So your target audience is well refined. If you've in our scenario design workshops, we actually develop a full persona and a character, because it's very important, because that is actually a key piece. As the more you define that person up front, the better your scenario conversations are going to be later on. So that's a little something that we worked on and implemented, which is great. And then the other thing, which is down here, but it's just as important, is that at this point you also have a criteria for what makes a great scenario and learning experience. So you got to figure out, what is that thing? What are those almost indicators that will tell you when you're having a conversation with somebody, saying that's a great situation. That's something we could definitely use. And you would only know that. I mean, this criteria is already set. Like we have criteria around what makes a great engaging learning experience online, especially if it comes down to scenario and storytelling experiences. But you don't, you need to align that. There are some frameworks that you can use, but you still need to align that with the business and what that big goal is, so you can make them super contextual and relevant. And also your target audience is going to speak to them, right? So there's these three things work in combination, but those are all solidified by the time you talk to do your research and talk to your person with the big brain info in their head. So I'm going to have to try and draw this for you. I'm really getting good at stick people. I don't know if this would have been better on a whiteboard, maybe not. So this person, I'm not going to, just going to have, they're still smiling. Okay, hold on. All right. I think I should, yeah, this is going to be my improvement on this. Okay, so person with brain, as in the info that you need, right? You're coming in armed with all this. You have a plan. You know what you're going to do. Now you simply need to find and source people who are going to give you the information that you need. Now, the reason I'm starting it this way, and the reason we're working through a course this way, is because a lot of times we bring this person in way too early in the process, before we've done our homework and our research and our solidification of what the goal is and what the intent is. And this person is expected to help us come up with that, which is not a good idea, because if you think about it, somebody who is an expert in their field does not necessarily have the time to invest in all this stuff. You can do this on your own with the collaboration of, you know, searching out sponsors and all those other things. But in the meantime, you could be doing that up front, so that by the time you're talking to this person, you are perfectly focused on exactly the info that you need to make this a better, you know, a better experience. You know who your target audience is. You know all the impact it's going to have on the business. This person, all they need to do is share with you the kind of context and stories and feelings and thoughts that they went through in order to be able to be where they are, which is be an expert, right? How do they get there? So, so then the outcome of this process, of this engagement with your super research case study person, we're not calling them subject matter expert. We're actually just calling them your case study subject, because you're trying basically to understand their world in that space of time. You're no longer saying, hey, come in and do everything from A to Z for me. I just want you to tell me about your day. And basically, what's really cool is the outcome of that is going to be a, let's say, what we call this? In our process, we're calling this an outline. I wrote it really small for you. In our process, we're going to call this an outline. And the outline really ends up being the conversation that you've had, because it's very structured, of this person's almost like a day in the life, and the way they structured or the way that they tackled the problems that you're trying to address through your scenarios. So this is just so you're very clear on what this process looks like and the prep you need to do before you start going, hey, you're a top performer, you're a performer in this field. What is this going to be like for you? You know, can you help me out? Can you give me some challenges, situations? That's a very loose way of actually shaping the script that we have to be able to engage with this person. So I'm saying, do your homework up front. This is our process. And this is just one piece of the process that we're working through in the Scenario Design Bootcamp. Now, if this is something that you want to get deeper into, find out the nitty-gritty and actually start applying this in your processes, in the way that you design your e-learning and scenarios, and also integrate stories, because this whole process is supposed to facilitate that for you. With no crazy guesswork, right? You're not supposed to be a novelist or anything like that. It's supposed to be about you having a system and a framework that you can pull out without anxiety and use it over and over again. Because guess what? That's what everybody else does in the let's say the Pixar business, right? They already have a formula. So can we do the same thing to engage the people that we're trying to engage in a meaningful way that actually helps them, you know, change behavior and learn something that's fun at the same time? So our next cohort is starting in May. One of the things I suggest is that I'll put a link underneath the video to book a call with me so that I can find out exactly where your gaps are, find out exactly what's going on, where your process is at, to see if this is a fit for you so that you can work with us. And basically the cohort is us taking 8 weeks to work from beginning this process, setting you up for success, getting you comfortable with doing all of this on your own, and then giving you the tools to really make this really streamlined. So by the time you're talking to this person, you're ready. And you can, one of the things that I'm really striving for is that by the time you get to them, you can be so very targeted that in 30 minutes you can get the specific info you need, and you don't have to engage that person for a really long time. Because one of the things I've found is the people who are top in their field are usually not very accessible. So it's very hard if your project involves them from beginning to end. You won't get the top person because the top person's out there doing their top stuff, right? So you want to figure out how to do this, get the info from their heads very efficiently. They'll love you for it, and they'll probably give you more time as a result later on to review, because you're being so strategic with their time, respecting their expertise as well, right? So I'll put a link under the video just so you can book that session with me. Usually what happens is I have, well, obviously space is limited because it's a time with me for me to figure out what your current gaps are, and if this is something you want to begin with us. So get on that call, and then if possible, I think I have a couple of spots left tomorrow. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I hope that this walkthrough that I shared with you was helpful. There's more, but obviously that takes a little bit of time because you actually have to apply and integrate this into your own process. But I hope that was enjoyable. And if you have any questions about this or anything else, please post comments in the comment boxes below. All right? Have a great rest of the day. Take care, friends. Bye, and thanks for stopping by.